Hey guys, welcome back to the Buzz Weaver channel, and today we have some late breaking news on the disappearance of Gabrielle Petito, and there has apparently been a body found in the area. Now, Gabrielle is a 22-year-old American woman from Suffolk County, New York, who was reported missing on September the 11th while traveling across the United States with her fiancé, who, as we understand it, is also missing or was missing. Now, as of this recording, it is 5:45 Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday, September the 19th. We are anticipating a FBI news conference here shortly, but this story has captured the imagination of Americans, very similar to the Natalie Holloway story. And I guess amongst all of the political coverage that's typically here on the channel, this would be something a little different than what we would normally cover. But this has been a very significant story across our nation. There's always a level of fascination about these sorts of cases, as well as being very popular on Netflix and Hulu. But I am not trying to diminish this incident in any way of this young woman and the fiance and her being missing. So I'm not trying to play that down or dismiss the significance of the story. I'm simply just kind of giving you an idea of why the media oftentimes will cover these sorts of stories. So from Fox News, body found where Gabby Petito search is underway in Wyoming. No confirmation of identity. And I don't anticipate that we may or may not learn about this body that was found at 6. I don't know whether they will release it or not. Of course, what's fascinating about these sorts of stories is it allows for a lot of speculation, a lot of deep diving into the individuals, this kind of curious, investigative type curiosity that people have by nature. And so these types of stories can be quite fascinating and captivating. Now, in the 5 years that I worked in law, when you sit down and actually read the case law, what you discover is how much the media really doesn't know about these things, or how much the media doesn't really know, because they don't really go into a lot of the details or get the FOIAs or go to court to get the additional information, because the media doesn't have to present you with correct information. I know that sounds a bit biased, and I do have my bias towards mainstream media, but the reality is the mainstream media has no body, no authority, or any type of group that they are beholden to. In other words, they can present news however they want to, and then they might have to deal with the occasional defamation or slander lawsuits, as we saw, for example, with the Covington kids and with Nicholas Sandmann. But the media doesn't have to be honest about anything. They can simply hide behind opinion, which they try to do, particularly what they did. But I'm getting, getting off topic here, so I digress. So, missing Gabby Petito, police defend approach to questioning Brian Laundrie. This is her fiancé, who is now also missing. This report was, I think, from yesterday on Saturday. So, Jackson, Wyoming, when Gabby Petito went missing sometime in late August, and her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, allegedly showed up alone at his parents' home in Florida in her van, refusing to tell police where he last saw her. Critics around the country wanted to know why authorities didn't drag him for questioning. Well, there are a couple reasons for this that people may not understand. Despite watching television and movies and dramas, our system has a very methodical methodology to it. So in the United States, we have due process. So we can't just simply arrest people based upon a premise or an idea or a theory that someone may have done something. Now, they could have held him for questioning and asked him if he wanted to provide information, but he doesn't have to, because they have nothing to arrest him on, right? They can't accuse him of something. So we can't entertain pre-crime here. So that was probably another reason. Now, my personal opinion at the time, until I started looking into this, was if he had gone home and he may have had some level of guilt, he may have gone to an attorney, which the attorney would have immediately told him, say nothing. And that's simply just procedural for him not to, say certain things that would get him in trouble. For, as you know, when they read you your Miranda rights, which police do not have to do, but when the police read you your Miranda rights, when they say, What you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. It will be. Believe me. Anything and everything you say that can be used against you will be used against you. So just be cognizant of that. Now, this isn't about a legal lesson. I am not a legal expert. I am not an attorney. I simply worked as a legal assistant for various firms as well as for the state in the federal capacity as well as juvenile. So far what we've learned just from Fox News, who has basically covered it for the most part in these last several days, or in the last 2 weeks as it were, and they seem to be the ones that are kind of on top of all of this. Now we're seeing some news out of the New York Post here, but and across some of the mainstream media, but it has been like a major big story across the United States. I haven't checked to see if it's what the significance of it is, of any, in the UK or other parts of the world or Canada. But as you can see here, body discovered, aimed Gabby Petito search in Wyoming National Park. A body has been recovered in Wyoming's forest, where authorities have been searching for days for missing Long Island native Gabby Petito, the Post has confirmed. So as far as the searching, of course, they're going to be using canines. They're going to be using different individuals we see here. The coroner's van was spotted arriving at the Search Command Center at Grand Teton National Park, with where Petito was last believed to have been seen shortly after canines who were part of the search were called off. I'm going to assume that they probably also use drones. Drones are becoming more pervasive. They're easier to use. They don't require a helicopter, which requires pilots, which requires fuel, maintenance cost. And it's really been a really amazing technique and sort of investigative process for investigators. And some of these drones can be very sophisticated, depending on how sophisticated of drones they want to use, that can use different types of imaging, which would allow them to see obviously individuals that are alive and so forth. You may have heard about the young boy in Australia, the young boy who has autism went missing, and they were able to locate him, but I think they found him by helicopter. But drones are becoming a huge part of into these sorts of investigations. And but this has been really a story that has captivated the nation. And as you can see here, we got some side details from the New York Post here. Gabby Petito case, cops obtained cell tracking data from missing woman and Brian Laundrie. So they're using the full capacity of their abilities to locate these individuals. And since we live in an age of technology, cell phones, which are actually radios, or they're like ham radios. And if you know anyone with a ham radio, like my father who's a ham radio operator, you can actually tune into the frequencies of cell phones. And when you tune in that frequency, of course, you're going to hear everybody. It's not like you can get a distinctive number of a person's cell phone. But what they do is they're able to triangulate they're able to triangulate the phone from getting its readings from its individual number, and additional information that they can subpoena either from the phone companies or other agencies. But of course the FBI and other authorities have these capacities and abilities to track people in this manner, as well as, like I said, they use drone research, the radio frequency, they can monitor this activity. Plus, we had the incident where the police officers were called. They responded out to the vehicle where they were. But as I said, because, we have due process in this country, unless unless a police officer has what's called articulable suspicion, they can't just make an arrest, right? They just can't grab somebody up. It's not that they can't do it. It's that they can be sued later for having placed someone under arrest or detention that did not commit a crime. And this is why I often talk about when it comes to COVID and mask or no mask or vaccine passports, we don't have any law that a law enforcement officer would be able to enforce, despite the fact that, say, a governor or a mayor of a city could say, issue citations. They have emergency powers, in other words. There are certain things that can be done through emergency powers, but if, say, for example, you were ever cited or arrested because you weren't wearing a mask or a vaccine, which is highly unlikely to happen unless you're doing something else that gets you arrested, you will most likely be able to fight that in court. So I apologize, kind of going off on a tangent here in other directions as we are discussing Gabby Petito. So we got another 5 minutes or so before we hear from the from authorities. As you can see here on Fox, they've been covering it pretty exclusively. They have, of course, gone into a lot of her social media, Instagram, as I think in her TikTok as well. And we've seen people who have made a lot of TikTok videos. I'm sure the FBI is probably getting a ton of tips. I don't know how many of those are useful, but these types of stories fascinate people. They get people involved. So you have kind of like citizen journalists, similar to myself. Now, I'm not anywhere near the area. I'm not anywhere near Utah or in that area, but I would assume that maybe some other creators, maybe drone pilots, maybe even scouts, maybe volunteers are out there. That's a huge, gigantic area out there in Utah for them to have to cover. And but as of now, we are essentially just waiting to hear the press conference from the FBI at 6 o'clock. So I just wanted to go ahead and fill you guys in on what the latest news is with Gabby Petito. I may come in and do a follow-up video if we learn more about this at 6 o'clock my time. It is currently 5:56. So I am going to want to hear the actual live coverage, which unfortunately I can't play here because of copyright issues. But nonetheless, guys, below this video, you can find the various social media links to my social media, to include New Tech as well as the mainstream social media. And then appearing right there on the screen, that would be my channel icon that you can click on to subscribe, as well as hit notifications. I was distracted here by the video a little bit. If you guys want to follow me there, and of course on New Tech. And I will see you guys in the next video.